Hi everyone, welcome back to my GNM Digestible Morsels. So my aim for this entire series is to give you an understanding of the biological laws in a way that you can work out for yourself what you need to do and what you shouldn't do when you experience symptoms, rather than teach categorically do this and do that and not do this, because this just makes people reliant on others for advice, and I would much rather empower you with the knowledge so you can think of what to do for yourself. And of course also you can look at other people's information and see if it actually does apply. And of course, as you may now have realised, GNM is all about trusting the process and trusting ourselves. To me, GNM is an understanding, and I look at things with this understanding. So it's not necessarily a modality with certain protocols to follow. It is a foundation on which you can base other knowledge or other modalities on. So you need to look at it with this knowledge as a foundation. So in the previous episode, I explained the concept of cures and why some things appear to work and some don't from the GNM perspective. In fact, I stated that when you understand that disease is a biological program, we actually do not need a cure because there is no malfunction going on. The concept that we have been brought up with is that our symptoms are indicating there is something wrong, and this is putting us in fear, which creates resistance to healing. We want to turn away from the symptoms that we have and stop them because we are fearful of it getting worse and not getting better. And sometimes symptoms can be really uncomfortable and inconvenient, and we just want to be well and stop them. I mean, this is all really understandable, obviously, but this entire way of thinking has to be completely turned around, as it is entirely contradictory to the biological laws. So, as I've previously mentioned in other videos, when you understand the laws and programs, you understand that the symptoms that we have are a sign of good health and not of malfunction. It's a sign that we've resolved a trauma and that we're getting back to normal. And the symptoms all have a purpose. This is the big paradigm shift that we need to make. Symptoms are good, not bad. Symptoms are simply the body's recovery process when it is recovering from the changes it has made to cope with a trauma. That trauma is now over and we can recover and get on with our lives. So with this in mind, we understand that we do not want to stop the symptoms because then we are stopping the healing. We want to move forward with the healing so we can come out the other end in full recovery. It is a bit like going into a tunnel, and rather than turning away and running back out of the dark into the fake light, because the tunnel will never go away if we do that, we need to walk through and know that there is pure natural light at the end. And as uncomfortable and scary as the dark tunnel may be, we need to keep moving in the direction of that light. There are things we can do to help us move more quickly, but then this can be quite intense. So there are things we can also do to slow it down and make it more comfortable. But the most important thing is that we're always moving forward, because if we do something and it stops healing, it might give us some temporary light in that tunnel, but it'll never get us out of there. And if we do something that reverses the process, that, like I say, that tunnel will always be there bubbling away under the surface, waiting to come up again. So let's have a little look then at what we can do to support the process and support our healing. And first we will look at what healing requires. Well, healing requires a state of relaxation and non-stress, what in GNM is known as vagatonia. So we can say that anything that imparts that effect upon us will be supportive. And then it makes sense that anything stimulating will take us out of that non-stress state, or or just reduce it. And therefore this is non-supportive, as I mentioned in the cures video. So whether this is a non-stimulating activity that you love doing, being pampered, meditation, yoga, that sort of thing, these are all very supportive to healing, providing they are not done with stress or in a stimulating way. We can also use relaxing and calming herbs such as chamomile, valerian, lemon balm, turmeric, even marijuana, as long as it is not one of the hybrid varieties with the THC being increased out of ratio with the CBD, as I mentioned previously as well. So you want to go for a native plant rather than a hybrid plant. Some medications which don't have a stimulating effect, as most medications do have a stimulating effect, as they are encouraging your body to do something, so they're stimulating, are sedatives, anti-epilepsy medications, and beta blockers. They're all suppressives, or they have a suppressant effect. But the thing is, there can be side effects and other effects of these. For example, they're unnatural, so our body has to process them, which is going to put it under a degree of stress. And if there are other side effects that are unfavourable, then that's not going to be good either. So I always think it's best to manage things naturally, because after all, our body is natural. We are natural beings. So the important thing to remember is too much of anything will stress the body and become stimulating. So even if it's chamomile, if you have loads and loads of chamomile, your body has to process that. It's going to cause stress, and then it's going to stimulate things to process this overload of chamomile, even though chamomile is a very calming herb. So all of these things are great, but they need to be in balance. This is why we should stay away as well from supplements unless you know that you need them, from having some sort of testing done, such as kinesiology or like a nutritional therapy test, like a hair mineral test or something like that. In particular, you want to avoid the higher potency supplements unless they've been specifically tested as beneficial for you, because again, you've got the overburdening and the overstimulating in the body. So calming, compassionate thoughts and so-called positive emotions such as love, laughter, appreciation, and gratitude are all supportive, as these invoke a sense of well-being and relaxation to reduce fear and stress. And obviously, the more sort of negative emotions like fear, stress, worry, anger, they have more energy about them, so they're a bit more stimulating. They're going to take you out of that non-stress state, which is why it's really important to have an understanding of GNM, so you can remove your fear of the symptoms that you might experience. And it's good to have this knowledge before you have to go through any biological programs, so because otherwise it can be, if it's an intensive program, it can be difficult to take new knowledge in. So enjoying natural healthy foods that are easy to digest are a great way of reducing any stress from digestion, and therefore that would be supportive to healing. So eating a natural whole food healthy diet, because there are some foods such as sugar and caffeine and things like that which have a stimulating effect, chilies as well. However, if the food is natural and there's just little bits now and again of those things, and it's a nice balanced diet, then that's going to be really supportive to healing. If there's artificial sweeteners and a lot of chemicals in the food and a lot of hard to digest, I mean, grains are fairly, some grains are okay, but if you're having a lot of processed grains, then that can be really hard to digest, which things that are hard to digest are going to put stress on the body and take you out of that vagatonic state, or just reduce it. So there's not very supportive to healing to have an unhealthy diet. Also, this ensures that your body has the correct building blocks for healing and the energy needed as well, because we do need a lot of energy for healing, and that can help us to stop feeling so fatigued as well. So all these tips are focused upon reducing stress and burden on the body to encourage a deeper vagatonic state. So rest and not forcing yourself to do anything, working with your symptoms. So if you're fatigued, allow the rest that your body needs. For example, that's a great way in which stress on the body can be reduced. But if we're pressuring ourselves, that's going to give us frustration and some of these stimulating negative emotions, and it's going to take us out of the vagatonic state then. So we need to allow ourselves to heal, and we need to allow the healing to take place. Obviously, microbes are often a part of the healing program, and this can produce a so-called infection, which can be very uncomfortable and sometimes offensive due to like a strong smell or something. But when we understand that the microbes have the job to do, we understand not to kill them off. In severe or intensive cases, we can address microbial activity with gentle, natural antimicrobial agents such as colloidal silver, but you would not want to completely kill the infection off so the healing can complete. And the same with swelling and inflammation. Understanding this also has a purpose to protect the cells and facilitate the healing. We understand that anti-inflammatories are contraindicative to healing. However, gentle natural inflammatories such as turmeric can take the edge off, but you wouldn't want to take too much. You just want to take the edge off so as you can allow the healing to progress. So what you need to understand is that with any of the things like, say for example, natural anti-inflammatories and natural antimicrobials and that sort of thing, you're basically, if you're reducing the symptoms, you're basically slowing down the healing, because the symptoms are healing. So this means that the healing phase can actually take a bit longer. But then if it's more comfortable, then that sometimes is preferable for people. It's kind of, depends on your circumstances, and it's approaching this with the wisdom of GNM, so you can work out what is best for you. So is it best for you to have a less intense but slower healing? As long as you're still moving forward, then that's fine. But if you sort of want to get it over with and, get to bed for a day or so and just allow it, just surrender to it. So do you see how I'm applying the knowledge of the laws to understand what is needed to be done? And this can be applied to anything. Like I've suggested, foods, activities, thoughts, anything in life. Just think, is this causing me stress? Is this causing me to relax? And this is important not just in healing, but in the conflict active phase, because these stimulating things, even though you're in the sympathicatonic stage, which is the stress phase, you've got enough stress with the conflict. You don't want to be increasing that. So you still want to be avoiding stimulating activities, stimulating foods and things like that, and negative thoughts. So obviously when we're not in a biological program, all these things are fine, because we're sort of like, we have stimulants, we have relaxants, and it's all in balance and it's fine. But if you know that you're conflict active, or you know that you're in healing, then that's the time to avoid these things. So this is just one aspect of the therapeutic side of GNM, as Dr. Harmer discovered that healing had to take place on all levels. So in the next video, I will be concentrating more on the psyche level, such as identifying and understanding your conflict. I really hope this has helped you to understand how we can support healing in a way that you will be able to apply this to other things in your life. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode.